Hello, everyone. Let's do a really quick video. Let's take a look at what a real writer looks like semantically across the web and what your authors or writers should be looking like on your own site. So this is talking about external EAT. Are we calling it EAT now that it's EEAT? How are we going to say this now? I always used to say EAT, but now that there's two E's, I don't know, might sound like eat. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So I looked at authors across the board, writers, authors. What do they look like across semantically across the web? And what should it look like for your brand? So let's just take a quick look at what an author that is really an author would look like across the internet. So I pulled an article that was doing well, took a look at the author, and then did a quick search for the author name. Her name is Margaret Eby, I think you pronounce it. And I did Margaret Eby writer, Margaret Eby author. You can do Margaret Eby contributor. All of those brings up Margaret Eby. And then look what's actually showing up for that particular search. And I already pulled it up so you don't have to wait on my slow internet to catch up. So she has a website, but what does the website say about her? If you take a look at it, she talks about being a writer, what she's written for. She mentioned some of the major brands that she's written for. And she even has a tab of all the articles, or maybe not all of her articles, but the most important articles to her that she's written about. This is very important for your authors to look similar to this. When you scroll down and you see everything else that she has that comes up in search for her name, she has her own website and it's in her name and describes what she does for a living. So semantically, we're starting to pick up that she's a writer or an author for some major brands. And she actually mentions the major brands. She also has a Twitter account that I pulled up. Again, she's mentioning some of the major brands that she's written for. And she also talks about the articles that she's written, not all of the time, but a lot of the time. She is talking about writing or what she's written or what she's recently written, but also mentioning the brands in your description is very important. She's also an author and has a book, or actually several books, published on Amazon. She has a Muckrack account. It's free to get one of these accounts, by the way. And then within her account, she has connected her website, her Twitter, her Facebook, her LinkedIn, and her Instagram. And if you start looking again at the Muckrack, Muckrack, I wanted to call it something else all of a sudden, you can see some of the main articles that she's written, or she wants you to know that she's written about that she's also mentions the brand, some really big brand names again that she's written for. This is all very important semantically. This name, she is known for writing on Forbes. And if you pull her name up, it comes across the web as if she's a real writer because she is one. And if you do a search and we're looking at Forbes and we're looking at Margaret Eby as one of the authors, we can semantically tie her back to Forbes or Foods 52 or Food and Wine that she's also written about, and some of the articles that she's written about. So when I Google her name, Google definitely knows that she's an author. Google definitely knows the brands, the major brands that she's worked for, because she's told Google. You can also see that she is a contributor or a writer or author on other websites within the same industry. This is also a telltale sign that she is a real writer. Now, there are ways to pull this off with Haro links that I'll talk about in another video, but there are ways to pull this off so that you do have mentions, so that your author name has mentions on sites that are within the same industry. And then I also pulled her LinkedIn account. Again, you can see that she's an author. You can see that where some of the major brands that she's worked for, or some of the major articles that she has written. So across the web, this is what your author should look like. So if you do a search for one of your writers or authors, these are the things that you want to show coming up. You want to see Food and Wine here came up. Remember, I said that she also wrote for Food and Wine. You've got Amazon coming up because she is a published author on Amazon. You have other sites coming up. You have a publisher's site coming up. So this is just different ways to tie her back semantically to Forbes, one of the major brands that she's writing for. So is she a real writer? Yes. And this is what it looks like semantically when you do a search. And this is what external EAT looks like and should look like for all of your sites. And I'll see you guys in the next video.